In the mist-shrouded hills of Eldridge Hollow, where ancient oaks whispered secrets to the wind, lived Alara Thorne, a woman whose spirit was as luminous as the wild lavender field she tended. At 24, Alara had inherited her mother's emerald eyes and her father's unyielding grace, but the weight of loss had etched quiet lines around her smile. Her father, Rowan, had vanished into the sea 5 years prior, a fisherman claimed by a storm's cruel embrace, leaving behind a crumbling cottage and debts that gnawed like shadows at dawn. Seraphina Thorne, Alara's mother, had become the pillar of their fragile world, fierce, unbowed, with silver threads weaving through her auburn hair like threads of forgotten dreams. Seraphina was a weaver of tapestries, her loom in the sunlit parlor a sanctuary of color and story. But lately, the threads tangled, her hands trembled over half-finished patterns, and her laughter, once a melody that chased away rain, had faded to echoes. Alara noticed the envelopes piling like autumn leaves on the mantel, final notices from the bank, stamped with red urgency. "We'll manage, my petal," Seraphina would say, brushing Alara's cheek with fingers scented of wool and thyme. But Alara saw the hollowness in her mother's gaze, the way she lingered at the window, staring at the distant spires of Blackthorn Manor. It was there that Victor Hale resided, a man whose fortune was as vast as his reputation was veiled. Eldridge whispered of him, heir to shipping empires built on salted tears, a widower whose first wife had slipped from a cliffside balcony under mysterious circumstances. At 45, Victor was silver-tongued charm wrapped in tailored wool, his eyes like polished obsidian, promising stability to those teetering on ruin. When he began courting Seraphina at the village harvest festival, Alara's heart clenched like a fist around thorns. He showered them with gifts, silk scarves from distant ports, crates of exotic spices that filled their kitchen with the allure of faraway lands. Seraphina bloomed under his attention, her cheeks regaining a flush of rose, but Alara sensed the undercurrent, a chill beneath the warmth. The proposal came on a crisp October evening, as golden leaves danced like fireflies in the twilight. Victor knelt in their garden, a velvet box cradling a sapphire ring that caught the last light like a captive star. "Marry me, Seraphina," he murmured, his voice a velvet snare. "Let me weave our lives together, mend what the storms have torn." Seraphina's eyes glistened, and with a nod that broke something deep within Alara, she accepted. The wedding was to be swift, a civil ceremony in the manor's shadowed library, away from prying eyes. "It's for us, Alara," Seraphina confided later, as they sipped chamomile by the hearth. "For a future unburdened by yesterday's chains." Alara tried to rejoice, but doubt festered like ink in water. Victor's visits grew possessive. He'd trail fingers along Seraphina's arm, his gaze lingering too long on Alara, appraising, as if she were part of the dowry. Whispers from the village market reached her ears, tales of Victor's rages, of servants vanishing into the night, of a ledger stained with more than numbers. One stormy afternoon, Alara confronted her mother in the parlor, where the marriage contract lay open on the oak table like a predator biding its time. "Mother, please, don't sign. He's not right. I feel it in my bones, like the sea before it swallows whole." Seraphina's hand hovered over the quill, her face a mask of fractured resolve. "Alara, love, you don't understand. This is our salvation." Tears traced silver paths down her cheeks, but her voice held steel. "The bank comes tomorrow. Without this, we lose everything, the cottage, the loom, our very breath in this place." Alara fell to her knees, clutching Seraphina's skirts, her pleas a torrent. "Don't sign. We can fight it together. Borrow from Aunt Leora, sell the lavender fields, anything but this cage." Seraphina's eyes, those emerald mirrors, softened with a sorrow too vast for words. She cupped Alara's face, whispering, "My wildflower, some roots must break for others to grow." And then, with a breath that seemed to draw the stars from the sky, she pressed the quill to parchment. The ink bloomed black, sealing fates in a flourish of finality. The ceremony was a blur of cold marble and flickering candles. Victor's smile was a conqueror's grin as he claimed Seraphina's hand, his vows laced with possession rather than promise. Alara stood witness, her heart a hollow drum, the sapphire ring glinting like a shackle. That night, as rain lashed the manor windows, Alara slipped away to the cottage, now theirs no longer, to gather what remnants of home she could. In the haste, a loose floorboard in Seraphina's bedroom creaked, yielding a hidden journal bound in faded leather. The pages unfurled like wounds. Entries chronicled not just grief for Rowan, but a deeper agony. Seraphina's diagnosis, 6 months prior, of a shadow in her lungs, a thief stealing breath by stolen moments. The doctors in the city had named it in hushed tones, incurable, relentless. How do I tell her? Seraphina had scrawled in looping script, dated the week of Victor's first letter. Alara dreams of painting in Paris, of skies unbound. I cannot leave her to drown in debt and despair. The truth spilled forth. Victor knew. His courtship was no romance but a transaction. Her hand for his coffers, enough to settle the debts and fund Alara's escape, a trust irrevocable upon marriage. He is no saint, Serafina admitted in ink-stained confession, but his gold is clean, and my time is borrowed. Let her hate the signature, not the silence that birthed it. Alara collapsed against the wall, the journal slipping from numb fingers. Too late. The ink was dry, the vows unbreakable. Her mother's plea echoed in the empty rooms, not for love, but for legacy. Serafina had bartered her twilight years for Alara's dawn, weaving sacrifice into the fabric of their survival. Dawn broke grey and weeping, and Alara raced back to the manor, bursting into the bridal chamber where Serafina sat by the window, a shawl draped like wings around her frail form. Mother, Alara choked, journal thrust forward like an accusation turned absolution. Serafina's face crumpled, the mask shattering. They clung together, sobs mingling with the rain's lament, words tumbling like unraveling threads. I begged you not to sign, Alara whispered, but you signed away your heart for mine. Serafina stroked her hair, voice a fragile lullaby. And I'd ink it 1,000 times, petal. Love isn't always light, sometimes it's the shadow that guards the flame. In the months that followed, Victor's grip tightened, his manor's halls echoing with unspoken cruelties. But Alara, armed with truth, became the sentinel. She smuggled Serafina to hidden healers, bartered lavender essences for elixirs from the hills' wise women, and whispered plans of flight under moonlit oaks. Victor underestimated the wildflower's thorns. One eve, as his temper flared like struck flint, Alara stood unyielding, her voice a blade. Touch her again, and the sea will claim you as it did my father. Serafina lingered through a stolen winter, her tapestries unfinished but her stories etched eternal in Alara's soul. When the shadow finally called her home, it was in the cottage garden, surrounded by lavender's purple sea, Alara's hand in hers. Don't grieve the ink, my love, she breathed, eyes drifting to the horizon. Sign your own life bold. Alara scattered her ashes on the waves, then turned from Blackthorn's grasp, trust in hand, bound for Paris with a loom of dreams. In every stroke of her brush, every weave of colour, she honoured the signature, not of chains, but of a mother's unyielding light. For in the heart's deepest hollows, sacrifice blooms eternal, a testament that some loves are inked in blood and starlight, unbreakable as the sea itself. Thank you for watching this story till the end. Sparkles. If it touched your heart, please support us. Thumbs up sign, give it a like. Speech balloon, share your thoughts in the comments. Bell, subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications. Your support helps us create more stories that inspire and make you believe in miracles. Your participation means a lot to us.